Hello, everybody. Whoops, I left that slide on. Sorry about that. Happy Saturday. We're here together on a Saturday. It's great to see you. I was making a little visual aid for you. So even though I'm a little tardy, you'll be happy that I was, because you can make yourself one of these and it's really going to be helpful. So how's everybody's Saturday doing? Today's going to be much more relaxed and laid back. Looks like you folks have been chitty chatting. Let me know what I did. I've been working this morning on like YouTube stuff, right? Let me sit down. Let me sit down with my coffee. I've been working on YouTube stuff today. And what I did at the beginning of this broadcast, you're able to put in a little like YouTube intro, like a little intro. So I'd like to know if, number one, you saw the intro. Did you see it? And did it play, and how did it look? It was Drea working with Gem Duos. So I wanted to see how you found that. And also, I'm trying to add product links to the broadcast. So let me know. I'm putting on some lipstick because I can see myself and I'm all So you can also see, there we go. You can also see, I think, in the description and stuff down there, you should maybe see some products there too. So it looks like people didn't see it. All right. Oh, okay. Oh, Pam said, oh, okay. Good. Pam saw the intro. It played fine. You were a little confused because you're like, wait a minute, what is it? Okay, so that's good to know. Maybe I just wanted to see if it'll play. So I might do like a little intro on, hey, this is YouTube or whatever. So anyway, Pam, you saw it, and tell me what you were watching on. Were you watching it on your computer, on your TV, whatever? Oh, and Lenny, you have a commercial and then the countdown. Good to know. I also monetized, fully transparent. I monetized this video so I can kind of see how those play and everything and how they play on the replay. So let me know. It's just, some testing or whatever. Pam, you're on your laptop. Okay, good to know. Okay, Norma, it was a little confusing for you. Perfect. That's good to know. Maybe the intro, instead of a technique, needs to be something like, stay tuned, we're watching this video or whatever. Okay, so that's good to know. Just doing some testing. Yes, it is. It's definitely Guinea Pig Saturday, and my mom saw it on the TV. All right, good to know. Also, let me know if you are watching, and Janice, maybe you can see it. Clem, that is super sweet. Very kind of you. Thank you for that. Let's see. What am I wearing? There's a question. It is my favorite MAC Ruby Woo. What are you going to do? My favorite since, I don't know, 1998, whatever. Okay, so that's the story there. So also let me know if on your, what do I want to say? If you're on the page now, if you're watching it somewhere on, and this is on YouTube only, not on Facebook, below it should say something like shop products or something like that, maybe. So let me know if you see it. Okay. So anywho, let's get to the project. Now, first, we're going to use Magatamas. We're going to use long Magatamas, which I have here. And I want to give a shout out to one of the old school seed bead teachers. When I was looking, and you're going to see my screw ups on this. I started this about 10 times. Okay. And Barbara, let me ask you this. Did a commercial just break in while I was live? Let me know, because maybe I can set that monetization post show. And I thought that a commercial break would come in afterwards. So let me actually let me go to settings, because that's super irritating. Bear with me here just a second. I'm going to turn those off. Bear with me. I appreciate it. Saturday's super laid back. The only way I know about these things is to do them while we're live. So hold that thought. Let me take monetization off for now. I am taking it off. There we go. And save. So hopefully we should have no commercial breakthroughs, because that's super irritating. I have YouTube Premium, so I didn't get a commercial. It looks like you, Michelle, also have Premium. Let me know if you had a commercial break-in. I will not monetize until after the show. Okay, because that's super irritating. Okay, thank you for that. All right. Oh, and Janice says you can see Shop for Zuron. Great. Okay. And Deb, you have Premium. If you have Premium, you shouldn't get a commercial break-in there. I have Premium too. And that's also good to know, Lorraine. I think the settings on the commercials are kind of random. So some people might get a break-in, some people might not, whatever. But we shouldn't get anything else, because I turned the monetization off. So thank you for that. Thanks for letting me know. Because I don't want an interruption, especially during a how-to. So anywho, okay. What was I saying? Oh, all right. So I saw this product, I was looking on Pinterest, and I saw these little pine cones over on Pinterest, right? And I was like, oh, those are super cute. And so I clicked through, and there was really no, technique or, how to or anything. I searched and I searched. And finally, I saw a tutorial, old school seed beater. Her name is Barbara Granger. Her pattern, it's called Pinecone Delight. You can Google it. I strongly urge you to Google it. And if you like this technique, go buy her tutorial. Her tutorial is years old, but the link is still valid. I like to support the originators of these tutorials. So props over to Barbara Granger, Grainger, and her technique, or her handout, is called Pinecone Delight. There's another one that's up that is for bead crochet, but we're not doing that. So, it was kind of hard to find. So I started to play around on my own. And I had seen that we're going to use ladder stitch at the beginning, and then we're going to go into brick stitch, but we're using the Magatamas. Okay. But I played around with a lot of iterations on my own first. I figured you would have to stitch the Magatamas. Well, let me put up my screen so you can see what's going on. Let me do that. Let me take that off. Let me put my glasses on, and you can see it. So I am going to link Ranger pine cone. I thought I had it here, but yeah, here it is. Magatama, bear with me here just a second. There it is. And I'm going to put it in the comments here. Okay, there you go. So I strongly recommend the reckless beading one, Janice, that you put up. That's the crochet one. So you can certainly find the crochet one, but the one that I just linked up, let me show you here. The one that I just linked, it's on stitchboard.com, and that's the link there. And Barbara Granger is not the reckless beader. She is not. She's an old school seed bead teacher from way back in the day. So I played around with it. I bought her tutorial just to make sure I was on the right track. She had some great hints there, and she has some really great, her handout is terrific. So I always like to credit where credit is due. And so I wanted to give her a shout out. So if you enjoy this technique, go over and buy her tutorial. I'm not going to do a written tutorial. I'm just going to kind of leave it here on YouTube. And you can support her by going and buying that tutorial. I just wanted to also remind you folks, my friends, that if you are enjoying these kind of Saturday little special things or other special content that we're going to put up on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and notification button on YouTube, right? It really helps get the algorithm out there. And new beaders, the way they find us really is YouTube. So we super appreciate that. You can find us all over the web at beadshop.com. And questions, of course, info@beadshop.com. Now, I've linked what I'm using today. I've linked it down below in the description, so you can see that. And we'll go forward. Okay, so let me show you a couple of things that you're going to need to know about this. First, let me show you my failures. Okay, let me do that. We've got these long Magatamas. There's a question here. How many can you make with just one tube of Magatamas? You can make, this is one that I'm working on here, and I did multiple colors. You can make at least a couple, depending on how long you make them, right? I'm going to be mixing my colors, and I'm going to show you why. But if you just have a single tube of Magatamas at home, you'll be good to go. Okay. Oh, thanks, Pam. This was from, downtown in Fresno, there's that ceramics studio. I'm trying to remember, but it's where a lot of ceramicists show their work. This is hers. And let me see on the back. It says Megan Art. So that's, what's that? Scarab? Not at Scarab, but it's a ceramic studio. It's pretty cool. So that's where this came from. This little eye dish, isn't it cool? Okay. So let me show you my failures, and then we'll talk about successes. Janice, thank you so much for linking the Magatamas. We use the Magatamas on some of our Kumihimo projects, which were awesome. But I wanted to play around and get some other things out there for Magatamas. And Magatamas, I've kind of fallen in love with stitching with them with this project. I think you could also do this project with drops. And if we have time today, I have no set time today. So if I have time today, I might also try this with drops. We'll see how it works. So I started by just wiring. This was a miserable failure. I thought what I wanted was a ring of Magatamas at the bottom, right? So I thought, well, maybe if I wired them. Yeah, wiring, not so much. I played around there. I played around there. I played around with putting them on. And see, this was it kind of worked. I was getting my Magatamas to sit kind of correctly, but it still wasn't quite right. Okay, so then here's another one, another iteration here, right? And then I thought, well, maybe if I do a whole bunch like this and shape them, I can put them down on a head pin or something. That didn't really work. I thought, what if I connected them with jump rings? That didn't really work either. So wire is a no-go. So let me cast that aside. Next, and I still have a sneaking suspicion that this might work. I just haven't played around with it yet. I got the Danielle Wicks disc, and it is her fringe spacer disc, right? That she makes a lot of interesting things with. And I thought since it had holes, I could use those holes to stitch the Magatamas too, right? And start on a round circle like that. And then maybe I could stitch downwards from there, right? So this would have been the top of the pine cone. Can you see that side view? And so all the little pine cones would have been around. And then I could have stitched them underneath and the pine cone would have grown from the top to the bottom. So that's still something that perhaps I'm exploring, but wasn't quite right. So then I started to stitch things together. And I'm like, you know what? I need these Magatamas to sit like flat, right? Like flat somehow. So I kind of got it. I was kind of successful in that I did one row and things were flat. But I was thinking that I was working from the top of the pine cone down towards the point. And that's not really how you do it. So finally I thought, you know what? I need some more help. So that's where I kept Googling. Googling was our friend. Googling was our friend. And I stumbled upon Barbara Granger's tutorial. So a big shout out. I'm going to link it one more time. A big shout out. And it's very inexpensive. So if you like this tutorial, and I'm not going to show you her handout or anything because that's not how to do it. And I've kind of adapted it to do my own way of things a little bit. And I'm going to show you some variations on how I do it. But it was super helpful. And I like supporting our bead friends out in the world. So a big shout out there. So let's move to looking at the Magatamas, and then we're going to get back to this tutorial. Okay. So I made this little teaching aid right here for you to look at. And with the Magatamas, these are called long Magatamas. Okay. Someone mentioned earlier, would daggers work? I think they would. The stitch might be a little different because the way that this stitch works, and let me put this in, your beads have to lay flat, okay? So you could also do this with bead crochet, or Emily could do this with bead crochet, because the way that you do bead crochet, the bead lays flat like this with the hole up, okay? So the hole needs to be up, facing up. So the stitch we're going to use here to create this is brick stitch, okay? So any bead that has a hole that's like this, so we could perhaps, though the hole will show, you could do this with super duos, I think. But the hole will show in the super duo. Let me show you a super duo here. There's also such a thing called a super uno, where there's just a hole at the top and no hole at the bottom, you could need to do that. You could do that. Daggers, the hole kind of goes across like this. So you might see the side of the dagger with this stitch, but you might be able to modify your stitch or something like that, right? But the hole for these magatamas are, on the top or the bottom of the bead, okay? And the needle hole direction, that's the whole thing, Kathleen, that's exactly right. The needle direction needs to be uniform with these. And in the Magatamas, they are. Whoops, I keep kicking things over and they're falling underneath. So let me show you here what I mean. So the way that the beads sit in this project is that the points all sit facing down. Can you see that? So it looks like a pine cone. So as you're stitching around, you want to make sure that all of the points are pointing down when you're stitching. And when you are having your Magatama point down, you stitch in from the top. You have the top of the Magatama facing up like this. And that's the rule, except when you're starting a row. When you're starting a row, you stitch, you turn your Magatama, the glue's still wet, and you stitch through the bottom. So see how this is facing? I wanted to show you that. There's the bottom of the Magatama. So if the point is up, the bottom of the Magatama is facing up. If the point is down, the top of the Magatama is facing up. Okay? So this right here, when you have the Magatama that you've stitched through the bottom and the Magatama that you've stitched through the top, when you split them, they lay so both points are down. Okay? So this may be a little confusing to you now, but when I start this, you'll see how this comes into play. All right, so please forgive me if I mess up. I may, because sometimes I'm directionally challenged. And whoops, why these, Miranda, I keep having boxes falling. I don't know what's going on. I'm fine, but I'm going to not touch that anymore. Is there a huge mess down there? No. Okay. Perfect. Thanks, Janice. Thanks for being here for as long as you could. Have a great Saturday, JP, and thanks for doing those links. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, so sometimes I'm a little challenged between my right and my left, so or my up and down or north and south, whatever. So bear with me here on this, okay? And I'm gonna try and do my best. But let's start with the first row, okay? I'm gonna use Fireline. I'm using 6-pound Fireline. I'm gonna zoom out just a little bit for the second. Okay, the second one. Let me get this out of the way. I've also got some bead caps and stuff here. I'll put those to the side for now. Let's just clear our decks. So I'm going to use 6-pound Fireline. You could also use KO, but I want something that's a little stiffer because this pine cone is a little smushy. If it doesn't have good support. Tension is super, super important in this piece. So I'm going to cut off about a wingspan of thread. I'm also making these kind of short. I didn't want gigantic pine cones. I feel like I wanted little petite, kind of cute, tiny pine cones. So that's what I'm doing. So my pine cones will probably have 7 or 8 rows to them, maybe. I'm going to use a Sharps size 10 needle, but you could use any size beading needle that works for you. The 6-pound needle, I think, works nicely with, or the 6-pound thread rather, works nicely with the size 10 needle. I'm going to come in with my fire line and my flat nose plier. Kind of hard to see there, but I've smushed it down a little bit. So what that does is it flattens out my fire line and it makes it a little bit easier for me to needle that thread. See that? And that went through. Oh, thank goodness. Okay. Miranda, everyone's saying hi to you.
Hi.
Miranda came in on Saturday to get more orders out. We're very grateful. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to use 2 colors for you. Okay, I'm going to use this light color and this dark red color. This is, the red is the Picasso Opaque Red Garnet, and the cream here is the Picasso Canary Luster. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to lay out, I don't do this all the time like this, right? But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out these Magatamas. Let me get a Post-it because it's a little dark here. Let me get a Post-it note. Miranda, I saw somebody also mention that they got their mystery bag and that they loved it.
Yay.
So thank you. We went to town on those, so I hope you love them. Okay, so here's my number 1 bead, okay, and I'm going to place it, whoops, I'm going to place it so the point is up, okay. I'm going to do this one with the point down, and that will be my first grouping. Okay. Then this is the bottom. This is the very bottom of the pine cone. Okay. So I'm going to repeat that. And this is the row number 1 is different than all the other rows. Here's the other bead, point up. And here's bead number 4, point down. Okay. So for this beginning row, whoops, this isn't point down. For this beginning row, odd numbers, the beads are pointing up, and even numbers, the beads are pointing down. And I do that because, can you see here, when I string them on, they kind of chevron like this. And then when you flatten them to ladder stitch, both points are down. Okay, like this. All right. So what I'm going to do here, our first row is ladder stitch. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to go through the top. That's actually the bottom of the bead. And now the top of the bead, the next one over. And see how I'm going to slide them? See how they make that chevron? I'm going to flatten them down, and I can feel that they're both pointing in the same direction. I need a little bit of a tail, about 4 or 5 inches or so there, right? I'm going to zoom in so you can see this. Now I'm going to stitch. I'm going to come up from bead 2 to bead 1. So see how those are binding those together? Just a simple ladder stitch, like you'd do anything else. Okay. And I'm going to do that twice, just to get everything nice and ready to go. Okay, so that's bead number 1, that's bead number 2. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to pick up bead number 3, and you know what? I've made a mistake already. No surprise. Only the first bead in every row has the point up. You go in from the bottom. Everything else in the row, the point is down and you go from the top. I knew I'd do that. I knew I would. But there we go. See, I'm going from, here it is, the point is down. So that's the top of the bead. I go through the top. And I go through the hole of the bead before it. Okay. And you want to check, you want to make sure, see, all of those beads are facing the right way. I would have noticed it after I stitched it on, that the point at the bottom was sticking in the opposite direction. So I'm going to come in. Oh, there's a little gnat. Get out of there. Okay, so I'm going to stitch through that. And I'm going to reinforce it. This is a ladder stitch. This is the base for everything. So I'm going to reinforce it. Okay. And I'm going to go through. Like this. Now, I'm going to put on my last bead here. Is my thread in the right position? Hang on. It's actually, I'm going to go under this thread bridge, actually. My needle, my thread needs to be coming out from the top. There we go. All right, there we go. Now I'm going through the top of that one. There we go. Can you see how they're all, whoops, sorry, off? Okay. Lynn, you honestly will. I promise you. Just stick with me, okay? Just stick with me. My first attempts at this were a big old mess. I promise you. So see how I've got everything in line here. Okay. Let me zoom in. And I'm going to reinforce that ladder stitch. Now, I'm no seed beater, to be honest. But let me make sure. See, I screwed this up. I told you to bear with me. Maybe I won't be able to do it either, Lynn. No, I will. See how these two beads are out of alignment? Right? So this is wrong. So scratch that. Let's try it again. I'm going to just cut this away. We're going to set my failure aside. Hang on. I'm going to take off my sweater.
Ooh, you're getting serious.
I am getting serious. That's what this Saturday Stitch-In is all about, you guys. It's me figuring it out. I did it right a few times. I'm going to do it again. So bear with me here just a second. Okay. So let me get my beads in line one more time. This bead, the bottom is facing up. Bead number 2, the top is facing up. Okay. And I think I did this. I think when I turned that bead over, that's when things all went south. I should have listened to myself. So bear with me here. So I'm coming in, the bottom of the bead is facing up. So fast forward to, where am I? How many minutes am I in? 37 minutes. When you watch this again, mark it. I'll put that in the notes. I need to write myself a note. 37 minutes in, Kate restarts at minute 37. Okay. So now, all right. So here we go. Because this is what we want. This is what we want it to look like. We know it's like this. Okay. And I'm going to flatten this out. Let me get rid of that for just a second. Okay. I know there we go. I turned them. You need to turn them out. There we go. See there? Can you see my points are pointing down? That's what we want. So check that. When you hold these two together, and I don't think I did. I think I flipped them. See, when I flipped them out. I think the last time I did it, I flipped them in. So let's reinforce that stitch. Okay. And thanks for the reminders being off screen. I'm going to try and stay in screen. Oh, CR, thanks for saying about my struggles. There we go. And I'm going here. All right. So now I'm going to get bead number 3. Okay. Bead number 3 is this one. And I'm picking it up from the bottom. It's not from underneath the bead. The bottom of the bead is facing up. Okay, do you see that? You don't, because it's a little. I'm also going to try and keep everything in focus. There we go. Okay, so bottom of the bead is facing up. I go through it. I slide it down. Now, I flip it so that that point is down. Okay? Point is down. Now I go through the bead before it. That's bead number 2. There's only going to be 4 beads on this row. Okay? And I'm going to just reinforce it. I'm going to stitch through again. Okay, I just have one more bead to put on. Let's hope I put it on the right way. See what I've got? I've got those 3 beads there. Okay. Now, number 4, that's this one. We put it down with point down. Okay, because we have to grab it. We have to go through the hole from the top of the bead. Just because we say top and bottom doesn't mean from on top or underneath. It means that the top or the bottom of the bead is facing up. Okay, so I'm going to go through. We'll slide it down. And let's check it. Yes, see? Now everybody is facing the right way. Oh, dear Lord. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to stitch it through. So now we've got to join this so it's in a circle. And see how I've kept everything kind of loose. It does look a little bit like the dog's breakfast, but that's okay. All points are facing where they should go. Let me get that Post-it note so you can see underneath. A little bit easier for you to see. Now, what we're going to do is see this thread that's coming out of this last Magatama. I'm going to come, I think, from underneath. I'm going to pass it underneath bead number 1 and close the circle. Okay? So here I go. It's coming out from bead number 4. I go up through bead number 1 and close this up. Okay. So now it's ladder stitch, right? So I have to make this ladder. So it's coming up here. I've got to connect it to that bead. So all beads are connected. So see how those threads make a little diamond? And I'm going to reinforce it like I reinforced everything else. Okay. There we go. Now, what I did on this, because I've got this tail here. So can you see how, let's count these beads again. Let's take a look. This is bead, let me push it so it's kind of like this. This is the first row. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Okay. I came up through the point was up on this one, the bottom I went through. The point was down on this one. The point was up when I went through, but it flipped, so it's down. And on this last one, the point was down, so I went through the top of the bead. Okay? We always come in from the up-facing side of the bead, but the bead is either pointing down or up. Okay? I definitely recommend buying Barbara's tutorial. It'll be a good companion to this video. Okay? So now I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to tie a knot because I want all of this. I can weave this thread in later for sure if I want to, but the Magatamas, the holes are so big and I don't want to pull it too tight, right? I don't want to screw up my tension. This is what we're looking at. This is the underneath now. I'm going to tie a nice square knot and I'm going to add just a dot of glue on that knot. So I can knot it and then I'll maybe weave it in a little bit and I'll thread burn it. Let me get a toothpick because this GS is kind of screwy. So I'm going to put a dot right there where that knot is. And then I'm going to come in and tie this again, right over left and down for that square knot. And I'm going to do it one final time. There's some good glue there, so that should all glue up. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this over. And can you see how everybody is sitting as they should? You can't. Let me get that Post-it back there. So let me show you where that is on the piece that I've made over here. See how when you kind of get to stitching the second row, that first row kind of smushes in like the end of a pine cone? That's what's going to happen here. Okay. I'm going to keep this extra piece of thread on for now because it helps with the tension and it helps to grab everything. Okay. So now we're going to go to the second row. Okay. And we're going to put 2 beads on. And the second row, I'll start again with this Magatama. Now, the first bead in the row, or the first beads you put on 2 beads, okay? Then everything else in the row, you put on a single bead, okay? So the first bead, what I need to do is I need to get my thread into position. So I need to come up right here, okay? So now I'm through row 1, bead number 1 of the previous row, but it doesn't really matter. You just need to be consistent. Just choose a bead, and that's bead number 1, okay? So now this is the bottom of the bead is showing here. I've got glue, of course. I've got glue on my needle. So I'm going to go through the bottom that's facing up, and now here's the top of the bead is facing up. The point is down. Okay. So I put them on. Now let me make sure I'm in view here. Okay. Lynn, I love that you're going to go make tamales. Have some fun tamale making. Maybe I'll make tamales this year. Be fun. Making tamales is so fun. So now I push these apart so that they're pointing, the point is pointing down like a pine cone, right? This first bead is always going to be a little funny until you make it all the way around and secure it down. So just let it be, okay? But you're going to come under. Now we're going to do brick stitch. All right, we've ladder stitched this closed. Now with a brick stitch, you always go under the thread bridge, right? So I'm going to go under that thread bridge. I'm going to come up and see how by doing that, this second bead that's on here, the point is pointing down. So I'm going under that thread bridge and through the hole of bead number 2. And it's just going to lay on top of this row. And if that bottom row, it's going to start to curl down. That's fine. Okay. So now this bead is on. I'm going to get my next bead because we're going to have 5 beads in this row, right? We have 4 down here. We're going to increase by 1 bead each time. I've got my bead placed so that the point, all remaining beads in this row, the point of the bead is going to be down, and I'm going to stitch so that the top is showing. I'm going to stitch there, not the bottom. I'm not going to stitch. See, the bottom is pointing up here. That's only for the first bead. Okay. So I stitch through top of the bead. I identify my next thread bridge, which is this one. And I go under it. I stitch through, and the point of this bead should be down, which it is. So since this is brick stitch, you go under the thread bridge and you go back through the same hole, and that locks the bead in place. This is really going to start to look like something at around row 3. So just stick with it. See, there's the second row down there underneath. Here's the second row on top. Now I'm going to turn. So I've got 3 beads on. I've got 2 more to go. I'm going to turn. I'm going to get my next bead. This is bead number 3. Put it down so that the top of the bead is facing up. Go through the hole. Go under the next thread bridge. There's the next thread bridge. Actually, the next thread bridge is over here. Stitch that on. Make sure all those pine cone points are pointing out. Now I'm going to go back under and up through that hole of bead number 4. Okay. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 beads on, right? It still kind of looks like a mess, but I know all of my points are down, so I'm going to trust the process. I need one last bead. So I'm going to move everything down. I'm going to hold on to that tail between my fingers. I have one last bead to put on. Okay. So just so you can see the difference where the last bead is, I'm going to make this last bead black. Okay. Facing up, the top of the bead is facing up. I go through probably the last thread bridge I went through. There's plenty of room because there's only 4 thread bridges, but I've got 5 beads. So I'm going to go through that bead again, that thread bridge right there. Pull it up. See how that pine cone spine wants to sit correctly there? Tighten it up. Now I have to complete it. So remember bead number 1? Oh, whoops, I have to go through underneath. Don't let me forget that. I do that sometimes. I've got to lock that last bead in place. So stitch up through the hole. Now I need to lock it in with its neighbor. And remember, this is ladder stitch, just like you'd be doing with 11s or 8s. But the bead has that funny tail at the end, right? So just make sure that pine cone, see how they're all pointing down. So now I need to close this row. So my thread's coming up. I go from bead number 5 back to bead number 1 and close it up. And see how I've got that circle there. Looks a little random, a little messy, but I'm going to lock it in. I'm going to come in and I'm going to go back and I'm just going to reinforce it. I'm going to go to bead 5, to bead 1. There we go. Now I need to bring my needle back up into starting position. So I'm going to go up through the next bead next to it. Okay, so let me lay this down. And you can see that my circle of 5 let me Let me get this kind of centered. There we go. Let me see that. Or kind of focused. So now I'm going to go to my next row. But what I did here when I was working on this, I was like, is this right? Is this not? It's kind of moving around. So what I did was I got a head pin. I put a bead on the end of the head pin. And I put this whole thing, see, there's the middle of my first row. I put it through the rows because I wanted to see if this was actually hanging like a pine cone. And it was. See that? Let me get this Post-it out of there. Let me zoom in. Okay. So, looks good. And you can really see that top. So now, let's do the next row. I'm going to leave that little bead on there because it kind of helps me hold everything straight. All right, so what do I do next? Remember, my first bead, we place it so the top, we place it so the top is facing up, right? Point is up. And the beginning of the row, we always have 2 beads. So we put this one on, and then we place one so the point is facing down, and we go through the hole. Okay. Now we catch the thread bridge. I'm going to get rid of that, actually, because it's kind of in the way of you seeing. We go through that first thread bridge underneath, and now this red bead is bead number 2, wants to twist, but who's the boss? Me. I come up and I go back through the hole of the second bead. Okay. This first bead is going to wobble around a little bit. Bead number 1 will, but it doesn't matter because you're going to catch it when you come around and put the last bead on. Okay. How many? Let me tighten it a little bit. There we go. If I had 4 beads on row 1, 5 beads on row 2, how many beads am I going to have to put on this row 3? What do you reckon? 6 beads. That's right. So let's get my next bead. Point is down, top of the bead facing up. Identify the next thread bridge. There's the thread bridge. Under the thread bridge, and back up through that bead. Okay. Tighten it up. Go to your next one. That's 3. We're halfway there. So get another one. I'm doing this in 2 colors, so it's kind of easier for you. Stacy, that's a good question, doing this with Kumihimo. Michelle is our resident Kumi expert. I am sure, Michelle, you have done something like this with Kumi. I don't know if, widening or tapering You could also definitely do this with bead crochet. The whole crux of this, to make it look like and see, I told you, you kind of have to wait till the third row and things start to kind of fall into place. So that's the fourth bead. Let me put on number 5. The whole crux of this is you need to, this Magatama is a little shaped a little funny. Let me get some more. The whole crux of this is that you need to, every row that you do, you add another bead, right? You increase so that your round gets bigger, just like the taper of a real pine cone. So see, there's my Magatama. Point is down, top is facing up. Grab your bead on there. Go to the next open thread bridge, which I think is this one. Stitch it through. Back underneath to tighten it in. So that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have my last, see that space in there? That space, I'm going to put, the last bead is a black one, just so you can see it. I'll go through the top, under that open thread bridge, whatever thread bridge you see, just stitch it underneath. Back under that hole. And tighten it up. Okay, so let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? Can you see that? There's 6. So now these two have to be connected. So I just go down through bead number 1, back up through bead number 6. I'm going to bring my needle over. So I go back down through 1, back up through 2. Now I'm ready for a fresh row. Okay, let's see how she looks towards the bottom here. So can you see how everything is kind of looking like a little pine cone? Let's put it back on the head pin. Hi, Leslie. How's our friend Leslie doing? I'm going to go ahead also and get rid of now this extra. I'm going to thread burn this piece of thread away because it's kind of making me crazy. So I think that my knot it's dry enough for now. Let me see if I can find my thread burner. I've got it over here. Let me make sure it starts. It does. I'm just going to thread burn. I'm not going to do it right up next to the knot because I don't want this to all fall to pieces, but I'm going to go right there and thread burn it away. Okay. So now we can really tell what the top is and what the bottom is. So let's take a look. See, here's those first beads that I stitched in. See how they kind of come in and be like, you know, the bottom of the pine cone. Now, what I wanted to do was I wanted to give this pine cone a little bit of structure. So remember how I had that dot head pin? That one was here. Okay. Oh, good to know, Leslie. I've been thinking about you. I've been wondering how you're doing. So it's good to know that you're doing okay. So sorry about your pops. I hope he's on the mend. So see, you could put that big melon bead down there, right? Something like that to kind of hold it. I also have a 4mm round. I did have a 4mm round. Oh, here it is. It's on this one. See on this one down here, there's a 4 millimeter. That kind of blends in a little bit better. This wire is bent, which is why it's sitting a little funny. Let me straighten that out. There we go. And that really blends in. You can't see that hardly at all in there. What I also have in here, because as this starts to grow, I've got 2, 4, 6, this is 8 right here. The pine cone starts to get a little squishy squish. So I pushed a 6 millimeter melon down into the pine cone. Okay, I'll show you how I do that. I'm going to keep going on this. Okay, can we see how this one has 6? And it's starting to shape up. Thank goodness. Miranda, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Thank goodness.
So, what do we start with? Remember, we start this next row. This is row number 4. First beads in the row, always we put on 2 beads. We put 1 so the point is facing up, and 1 so the point is facing down. We go this way, and then we pick this one up. And we automatically go right to, here we go, this first thread bridge, which is here. Okay. I know it's a little confusing. Believe me, folks, I was up. If you saw me post last night on the bead table, what time did I post? It was like 11. So I filled yesterday. Chris and I ate dinner, watched a show, and then I'm like, I got to get to this. So it took me about 3 false starts to actually get this right. So we go under the thread bridge and back up through the hole of bead number 2. Okay, then just kind of hold it there. Okay, Margaret, you are reading my mind. If I use drops, and I think those of you who want to hang around, I think I'm going to try it with drops. I don't know. That's what this whole stitch in is all about. I'm going to do some more stitch in Saturdays. I actually have one scheduled for next Saturday, to be honest. But don't tell anyone because I want to make sure I'm going to do it, but I think I'm going to. But these are just times for you to also grab your beads. If you want to stitch along with me and ask questions, that's awesome. If you just want to watch it and then watch it later. But I do recommend grabbing this tutorial from our friend Barbara Granger, Old School Seed Beater. It's really, really well done. I will link her in the description below after the show. I'll link her tutorial, okay? And this isn't really going to go up on the Beadshop page, though you can find all of the beads from Beadshop. It's just going to live here in perpetuity on our YouTube channel. And I've listed the materials so you can hop over. Whoops, I didn't switch the color of that, but that doesn't really matter. I'm going to start adding some different colors anyway. All I know is I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. The last row had 6, so this needs 7 beads in this row, right? Karen, you're crocheting a rug together. I love that. I love it. What's everybody else working on? Is everybody working on holiday gifts? I'll tell you what else I've been doing while I stitch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, it's busy time of year. We've had the move. We're filling orders like crazy, doing everything. Of course, a bag maker friend of mine in the bag making community, she's releasing a new pattern. And she's like, will you test this part for me? What do I say? I say, sure, I'm in for that bag test. So after I do this today, I'm going to go work on the bag. If you follow my socials, my Bead Kate Insta, you'll see the results of that. It's not going to be too difficult. It's already cut out. It's not going to take me long today. I am also working on some granny squares, doing a little granny square stitching. I love this. Look at, however, everybody, I'm going to show this right here before I stitch in this next one. Leslie watched the replay of the beaded beads and got the book, Making Bead Flowers. If you didn't watch, if anyone didn't watch Emily on Wednesday, rewatch her. That's great. Who else is doing things? Lynn, you're making Christmas jewelry. I love it. Kim is making puppy paw earrings for the local shelter.
Aww.
That's right up our alley. My mom has cut out 15 more card wallets. Miranda's seen those card wallets. She got one.
They're super cute.
They are super cute.
Jojo loves hers.
Jojo loves hers too. That's awesome. Michelle's working on a Kumi project I love. Happy birthday to you, Leslie. That's awesome. And Deb, thanks for linking this. The Barb Grenier pattern is easy to find on Pinterest. And is anyone using the natural pinecone sequence to make these? I'm not sure what the natural pinecone sequence is, but maybe I'll look a little bit on there. Mary says she tried stitching along, but first row check, it got knotted and decided I'll have to rewatch. Well, that's always good. I hope everybody has a cup of something. I've got my coffee here. Margaret is working on her beadshop.com studio kits and some bead crochet projects. Great. I love it. Purchased the book Janice spoke about on Thursday. It was actually that Emily spoke about, and she's going to make a silver tree. Emily talked about the Christmas trees that she's made. So rewatch on Wednesday's broadcast. Okay. So you'll see more. I know Emily does her beaded beads, but she also talks about her beaded Christmas tree, which is good. Yes, Michelle, the postal strike, we're keeping a close eye on the Canadian postal strike. We're holding all Canadian orders, so we've got a pile here. So as soon as the strike is over, we'll send those out. Karen, I love this, that your rug was supposed to be 9 by 12, but it became too heavy. You've separated it into 3 by 6s. Love it. So you're actually crocheting the rug, which is awesome. Love. Oh, there's our buddy Russ Moon. I saw that you went on a trip to Morocco, my friend. I saw that on social. I hope you had a great, great time. A great time. That's awesome. Yeah, Kim, you'll find it. Both Emily and Danielle's 2 pieces. You'll have to go back and watch. Oh, and Deb is saying the Fibonacci numbers. That's awesome. That's great. Janice is out on an errand. The live came up on her phone, so she's back watching. That's great. Tina is making beaded snowflakes. Oh, Sherry, don't worry. You can call us by all our different names. It doesn't matter. We're just the Beadshop crew. I love it. So let me go in and continue. Hopefully I haven't lost my mojo here. This row should be 7 beads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me get that black bead to finish up the row. And you can go through. We'll go through the top. We'll go under, find a thread bridge. There's a thread bridge right there. Go underneath it. And then lock the bead in by stitching back through the hole. We want to make sure that bead is sitting in the right place. What I'm finding is that the little tines of the pine cones or the Magatama beads want to kind of flip back on itself. So flip it out. Make sure that it's flipped out towards the outside. There we go. And so now let's connect them down through bead 1. See there? Falls into place. Goes up through bead 7. I like to lock it in place with an extra stitch, but that's just me. So I'll go back down through bead 1 and back up through bead 2 in the row. Now I'm ready for my next row. So let me show you again what I did here. So as I started to play around with this, so this one I'm getting better. This one's nice and firm. Okay. Yeah, Teresa, I think that you can only check out with PayPal. That's what I saw. You can also, though, since your account was hacked or whatever, you can check out on PayPal, I think, as a guest. And if you're freaked out about it, you can also get a gift card and use it as your PayPal checkout credit card. You can do that. Yeah, you can put down, oh, thanks, Jackie. Just scroll down a bit and you can put in your card number as a guest. Thanks. I'm glad you like this green. This is OPI from their Wicked line. My manicure's getting a little raggedy, so maybe I'll also give myself a manicure this weekend.
What's your new stamp?
With my new stamps. I know Miranda got me stamps. I was also thinking maybe a melon might work, right? So if I put a melon down there, let's see. A melon might be a little bit big, right? Karen, I think that's a Tunisian crochet hook. Does anyone know the name of the needle with the crochet hook at one end and the other end has an eye? Is that a Tunisian crochet hook? Or is a Tunisian crochet hook the kind that has the hooks on both ends? I can't remember. Let me put that melon bead on the bottom. Now, what I also did to give the interior of this some structure was I got another 6mm melon bead and I pushed it down inside. I had to kind of flip everything up. But see how I pushed it in? You can't see because my hands are in the way. Let me see how that melon bead really, let me go in there, right? There we go. So that kind of really gives this structure. See that? Yeah, it's not, maybe it is an Afghan hook, a Tunisian hook. Pardon me, because I have a couple of them. They have a hook on one side and a hook on the other. Maybe it's an Afghan hook, but I've seen those that have the crochet hook on one side and then it's open with an eye on the other side. So now let me do one more row here, okay? And we'll finish it off. So this was 7. I'm going to do 8. And I'm going to keep this bead down in there, and I'm going to keep this 6/0 melon down at the bottom. You could use a 5mm or a 4mm like I did here, so it's a little less noticeable. Okay, and it looks like I just have enough thread for one more row. Let me zoom out. There we go. So I'm going to start with, this needs to be pointing up, because remember the first row, you always go, the bottom of the bead is up, right? And then first in the row, there's always 2 beads, and this one has the point going down. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to go under that thread bridge. There we go. And I'm going to go back through. I'm going to go back through the whole of bead number 2. What I've also noticed is my beading thread, especially as it gets short, it wants to hook around the little tines of the pine cone. So see how I'm kind of now building it up. Deborah, thank you for this. It is this right here. Needle on one side of the hook, needle one side, hook on the other is an Afghan needle. Fantastic Afghan hook. There you go. And Leslie, this I will, let me put in, I think I still have this here. There's the link right there. It's called Pinecone Delight, and it is by Barbara Granger. So please go support her. Sorry, that's going to be in caps, but that's it. Okay. So now we're going to do these as singles. So top is up, brick stitch underneath the thread bridge, up through the hole, tighten. I don't know. I don't think, I mean, I can kind of get that in there. Maybe I'll just keep it. The little bead kind of makes everything a little harder to hang on to, but I want to do it. So there's that one. I'm going to go a little more at Kate's speed, so I eventually finish this. Brick stitch under the thread bridge and back up underneath the bead through the hole. Okay. Miranda, how's it going?
Good.
Are you
taking this today?
Are you done?
I'm good.
Oh, our friend Miranda is done. Do you mind taking them?
No, I was just asking.
Thanks, my friend.
No problem.
Super appreciate you.
You got it.
Thank you for giving up some of your Saturday.
No problem.
Super appreciate while I do this broadcast.
Yeah, have some more.
We will, and I'll see you on Monday. Yay!
Oops.
Everyone's saying goodbye to Miranda.
Bye.
Miranda's taking a big bin of orders that are mailing out. Thank you.
No problem. See you later.
All right, see ya. Okay. And my next one, I'll count these. Wasn't that good of her to come in on her Saturday? We're really trying everything we can do. We're going to be caught up pretty quickly. We're all working as hard as we can, but I'll tell you, I just cannot fill 24/7, but we'll get back to it. And I know you folks are really patient. If you do have questions about your order, or if you need something expedited, that's when you email Drea over at info@Beadshop. Okay, let's count these, see how many we have. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I need 8, right? 7 was the last row. So I'm gonna put Leslie, that's really sweet. I've had a lot of friends. My friend Laura has come to help us organize. We really appreciate all of that help because without you, our small business would not be in business. Okay, so see that? That's 7. See that there? Let's do number 8, and this will be the last one. So point is pointing down, so I go through the hole. It's kind of hard to find a thread bridge underneath these two, but I see a thread bridge there, so I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to go through, kind of shove this bead kind of down in between bead number 7 and bead number 1. Go through, back up through the hole, because this is brick stitch. There we go. So see that, and see how I persevered. I got that kind of little 6/0 in there. Okay. And then I'm going to come in, I'm going to go down through bead number 1. I have a retreat at my place on how to pack orders. Deb, that's hilarious. I should hopefully we should be catching up soon, though. I do want to do like how some places do like packing order videos. That might be kind of fun if I went live one day when we're filling to show you how it's done here. Give you another peek behind the scenes. So see, whoops, my head pin fell out. So see, if I take that down, see how you can see down on the inside there. If I push this bead, this melon bead. So now I'm just going to make this many rows. 1, 2, this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 5 rows. Okay. So now I'm just going to weave this end in, I think. What I'm going to do is I'm going to knot this off here. I'm going to go there. Now what you could do if you didn't want to put a bead on top or a bead cap on top or whatever, right? You could reduce the size. So this is 8 beads around. I could do 7 beads, then I could go up 6 beads. So it has a little more of that pine cone taper, right? So I'm going to go around again and I'm going to tie another knot here. And I'm going to get my glue. Oh, Sherry, I love it. I love that I'm keeping you company. You're cooking, showering, eating, ironing. I love it. Well, thanks for having me over. I like to watch YouTube tutorials too. I watch a lot of craft tutorials that have nothing to do with beading. I watch quilting. I watch a lot of bag making. It's just fun. It just feels like you're working with a friend, right? I feel that way. I think it's fun. So thank you for having me along on your adventures. Let me tighten that up. There we go. So see how I tightened that? And I'm going to just weave this down. I'm going to go through a couple of these pine cone tines. And then I'm going to go down here. I'm going to find a thread bridge. And I'm going to tie off again. Okay. Yeah, cheese and wine. We should do this cheese and wine. Yeah. wine during, it might be a little problematic, Margaret, but you know what? We probably won't care. Right. Let me get another little dot of glue. Chris has laid in all of our wine and things for Thanksgiving here in the US. Thanksgiving is next Thursday. So we're doing the cooking, so we're getting everything nice and ready for that. It's always fun. So of course we'll be closed on Thursday so we can all spend some time with our families. And then we'll be back at it on Friday. I'll be back with a Free Tip Friday with Drea, day after Thanksgiving. It's going to be fun. And then I think I'm going to do another Saturday stitch in because there's something else I want to show you. Okay. Oh, and Michelle is saying the Kumihimo pine cone is with daggers and briolets. I have the ornament, Michelle, that you gave me. I always have it hanging out here. Let me show you. Here's Michelle's. She sent that to me last year. Look at how pretty that is. Very similar. So Michelle did this in Kumi. That's Magatama's. This looks like drops. These look like daggers. Isn't that pretty that Michelle gave me last year? I love it. Love it. Like the Galloping Gourmet. You're dating me, Leslie. I loved it. I loved Graham Keir. We always used to watch Galloping Gourmet. And if those of you in the Bay Area, do you remember Narcy David? He actually just passed away not that long ago. He used to always be in the basement in Union Square, Macy's, doing holiday, like holiday things or holiday techniques. And when Julia Child would visit San Francisco, she would always be on with Narcy David. I know my mom remembers Narcy David. So now, since I didn't taper this up, right, and everybody's facing pretty good, looks pretty good. I mean, you know, the more you practice, the better this is going to get. This is a melon down at the bottom, right? So the melon, I'm having trouble focusing here. Let me do this. There we go. I'm going to put a cap on the top of this pine cone. So see, look at how nice that looks. This is our large acorn cap. I think the cap looks nice. Yeah, my mom, we love Narcy David. We also loved going to the cellar at Macy's and looking at all the cooking stuff and everything for sure. You could put another bead on the top. This is a larger melon. Right? That big melon looks kind of good. Yes, Diane. That's right. His restaurant at the bottom of Macy's in Union Square. Those holiday trips to Union Square were always my favorite. I just loved it. Maybe I'll just wire wrap this though. You know what I'm going to do? I feel like this, I like the melon, but I feel like the color is clashing. So just bear with me. I'm going to take the 4 mil out of this one. I like the dot head pin for this. So I'm going to take out that melon. I'm going to take out that melon. So here it is with nothing inside, right? I'm going to put that 4 mil. I'm going to put this melon. It doesn't matter which melon this is because it kind of goes down into, yeah, I think that 4 millimeter looks better, right? Then, yeah, I think Graham Kerr did kind of straighten out his act towards the end. Yeah, he did. Well, bless him. you know, what are you going to do? Yeah, that Narcy David, I think he just passed away this past year, I think. I'm just going to wire wrap this, right, to tighten it down. I mean, I could put a bead on top, but I'm just going to come in. I want this to be kind of tight here. Let me try and put all of the little tines kind of facing the correct way. So I'm going to bend this at a right angle. Oh, my mom said, my pops just said, that does look like a pine cone. Well, you know, it does. And it would be really cool all in the same color. See, like I was doing this one, I wanted to do this contrast on air so you could see it. So see here, if you use like one color or colors that are closer, it'll be a little more subtle, right? So let me come in. I'm going to come up and over with my loop, down and under. Now let me get my chain nose to tighten that loop up. And I'm going to bring it around. I'm using a copper head pin here, but a brass bead cap. I want my chain nose here to hold that flat. Chain nose are your grippers. Your round nose are your loopers. And then, whoops, sorry about that. One below the other. I want it to be nice and tight. Oh, I have a real death grip on these pliers, so let me just relax for a second. There we go. Now, this is all nice and tight. Let me cut away this extra. Okay. Oh my goodness, Diane. You know, that is really funny that you mention it. Post a picture of the doll that I made. You know, I was teaching doll making. That must have been maybe 95, you know, I think, in the Palo Alto store. That was actually a pattern that I had published, if you can believe it, in 95. I don't know how old I was. I was like 29 maybe then. I had a pattern published, and I did teach that doll pattern. The funny thing is that you bring it up. My mom and I were just at quilting, and my mom was giving away some old fabric. And in the fabric that she was giving away was a piece of fabric that I know I had in the 90s, that I know I made one of those dolls out of. So I kept it. Isn't that funny? How serendipitous. Look at that. Look at how great that looks with the cap. It may have been earlier. Maybe it was 94. Could have been 94, 93 even, because I started working at the Beadshop at 92, and I had that pattern out pretty early. So that is true. Yeah, I've been doing this for a long time for sure. Oh, Narcy David passed at age 87. Well, may he rest. He was a great force in the Bay Area food scene for sure. See that little one, I'm going to move that out. You might need to just kind of move your Magatamas, your little pine cone tines. You don't want it to be too tight. I might have pulled like this row when I did this a little tight, because this one wants to sit funny. But we'll just turn that to the back, like the back of the Christmas tree, right? It looks pretty good. So now you can hang it. I'm going to get a jump ring here and open it up. And we can put this like on some chain, or I don't know. You could even put it, hang on. Hold, please. You know how we're doing purse charms and stuff now, right? There was even a New York Times article on purse charms, which I thought was kind of funny. Let me get a lobster claw. Hang on. My lobster claw of choice, I think I've got 2 of them for purse charms. Let me show you. We've got our large lobster and our jumbo swivel lobster. Look at that. Narcy David did demo, I think, Ma, at the Garlic Festival. I think that's true. The Gilroy Garlic Festival, as you know, right? It does kind of look like Indian corn, right? Perfect for the season. That multicolored, beautiful corn. So pretty. So you could just attach this like this. I like this one too, this size. Let me attach it. I've got a piece of chain here though, somewhere. Hang on. Oh, here's some chain. This was left over from my hayride kit. So here I'm going to attach, let's really do this. I'm going to cut, this is our smooth sailing chain, or I don't know, whatever chain you like that you might have, right? Let me get this jump ring. Let me attach it to this chain. Let's put this on. Close it up at the bottom. Now, let's put, look, these are left over from my hayride kit, but we carry these. We carry the acorn beads. We carry these leaves. We carry these melons. I'm going to put one of these acorn beads on here just for fun. Just like I did in the hayride kit. Remember how I did that? I'm going to put one of these little. Let's see how this looks. I feel like it doesn't, I'm gilding the lily. I just need this. I'm going to wire wrap it at the top. Let's do that. Up and over. And I'm going to connect them with jump rings so they've got some more movement. Up and over, down and under, and wire wrap. I'm doing this at Kate speed very quickly. Look at how nice just that little acorn looks wire wrapped on that. There we go. These little acorns, we've got them in some different colors. I just think they're super charming. Here's that that leaf. I don't know if I have another dot head pin, but I'll just put it on a regular head pin. Doesn't have to be a dot. Let me come in, let me just wire wrap this, bend, up and over. Down and under, wire wrap that. I'm wire wrapping with my fingers. I think I need the extra, there we go, the extra oomph of a plier. Be very careful, I don't want I don't want to crack the bead. This is not my best wire wrap. There we go. Let me cut away that extra. Clip it out. There we go. That looks good. All right. Let's connect them with some jump rings. Got some nice jump rings here. See if I want to add anything else. I think this is good. Has 3 elements. Let me get that acorn on there. I'm going to attach the acorn to this and this. Then, right, so that, look at how cute that is. And I'm going to attach that leaf here. And close that up. I want it to go to that side. Is that? No, I want it to go to this side. Look at how cute that looks. Love, love. I think maybe I want this to close. I think I've got one too many links in this chain. So let me just open this up. I mean, I could add some more stuff, but I don't want it to be super busy. So let me take this out. Let me put it on that link. Close it up. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, I think that's better. So I'm going to cut away that extra link. Just use your wire cutters. Just like that. And now I'm going to attach it. I think this is a much stronger hook for that. So, and the jump ring that I want to attach it with, I could use this one. This is that, I think this is our 6mm. And I might do a double ring on this. Just for strength. Let's see what this looks like. This is our 18 gauge jump ring. Really nice and sturdy. I could also wire wrap it, but if I do a double jump ring, I'll know that if one jump ring gives way, the second will hold it. And especially if it's on a purse. See that there, how it's a double? It's really nice, right? Looks good, I think. Look at our fall purse charm we made. Straighten out that wire, it's a little crookedy. I mean, I could add like one more bead up there, like a melon or something, I don't know. Or I could add another, maybe it wants another leaf like that, maybe, I don't know. But it was fun, right? What do you think? It would look really good as a pendant as well. That is a MAC lipstick. Sharp eyes, my friends. This is what I'm wearing. This is Ruby Woo. And I've been wearing this forever. Forever. It's my go-to red. So there it is. It's ready to go. It's ready to go on my purse. Sell it online. No, it's good. I love it. I love it. It's fun. And this is our jumbo. So this is our jumbo lobster claw. I use this a lot for like tassels and stuff. You've seen the what do I want to say? You've seen me do like tassels and stuff for purses using this jumbo. All right. So it's really, really a good one. Let me put the link. The pattern is called Pinecone Delight. And let me get if I can grab the URL here, bear with me. It's here. Hang on. And the designer is Barbara Granger. And let me get back to this so I can pop it in there. I think what I'll do, so Leslie, thanks for asking. I will try drops. I'm not going to try drops on air. It's actually 12:30 here, our time, and I need to have some lunch, and I have not had lunch yet. I actually didn't even have breakfast. So yeah, but I'll try it, and maybe we'll do that on another Saturday stitch in. Okay. So it's all there. So thank you for joining me. So you can find all of this over at beadshop.com, of course. I'm not going to put it up as a project over on the website because it's not a pattern that's original to us. I want you to go support the original pattern designer. And so I'm just going to leave it up here on YouTube. I'll tag everything so you can find the tutorial. You can also find the products for doing it as well. Just to go over what I did. I used the Fireline in 6-pound. I used the Magatamas. I used the long Magatamas. Or the black was the Smoky Black Matte Picasso. I used the red Garnet Matte Picasso. And those off-white ones were the Canary Picasso Luster is what I used there. Okay. And then, oh, the shop button isn't working. Thanks for letting me know. I'll play around with it. We still have to, I still have to perfect all of that directly from YouTube, but you can click right on over to Beadshop and find everything. This was my little tutorial thing, and you may want to make one for yourself. Oh, and I also use the size 10 sharps, the sharps I used with that. I made myself this little Magatama cheat sheet so that I knew that when the point is up, I was stitching from the bottom of the bead. The bottom of the bead was facing up. When the point is down, the top of the bead was facing up. Okay. And here, when that very first stitch, for the first stitch for every row, right? It goes through. So you go from the bottom on the upside from the bottom, and then the second you go through the top of the bead, bottom of the bead. So they lay like this. Then you flatten them out, and the little pine cone tines sit down towards the piece. So I made that little cheat sheet for myself. So you can go ahead. This is a good time for a screenshot. There we go. Well, thank you, my friends. It was fun to spend some time with you on a Saturday. Like I said, I'm going to go have a little bit of lunch, do a little rest, get a little bit of rest today on my Saturday. Let me put this up. There it is. You can find everything, as you know, Beadshop related on all of our socials. We're at beadshop.com everywhere. If you have any questions, just hit us up at info@beadshop. We carry a beautiful variety of Magatama colors, some really nice ones. There's like some green. You can really adapt this kind of, what is meant to be a pine cone, but it could be just about anything. I love it as just kind of a little fall bauble there. All right, I will be back on Wednesday with Beadshop Live. We've got all kinds of fun things happening next week for the Thanksgiving holiday, Black Friday, all of that stuff. Stay tuned to your newsletters, and you'll see that there. Thank you so much, my friends. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.